Hit me.
From Studio A in Arcata, behind the redwood curtain, it's time for...
Succotash.
Yes, Succotash, the Comedy Soundcast Soundcast featuring snippets from comedy...
Soundcast.
And also interviews with comedians, comedian soundcasters, and other showbiz folk. And now, here's this episode's host from up the coast, the man who puts the X in Xbox and the tie on antisocial, Comedy Soundcast Soundcaster, Tyson Saner.
Saner.
Saluton, estas me, Tyson Saner, and welcome to Succotash, the Comedy Soundcast Soundcast, episode 298. Now, this is the part of the episode where I usually mention what happened, quote, last week, unquote, on Succotash, and I use quotations because, usually, I have heard the episode for the previous week that is hosted by the show creator and executive producer Marc Hershon before I start putting together a show. In this case, I began work on this episode before episode 296 released, so unfortunately, I have no idea what happened in episode 297. I mean, by the time you listen to this, I certainly will have listened to episode 297, and hopefully so will have you. Due to circumstances well beyond my control, it's just impossible for me to do that and put together a show in the week leading up to the release of 298, so that puts me in a bit of a weird headspace. But I will shake it off and sally forth and all that sort of thing. This is a clips episode. I've got clips from the Soundcasts, The Friendship Onion, The Deep Dive with Jessica St. Clair and June Diane Raphael, and Full Release with Samantha Bee. I've also got a classic, time of the year appropriate Henderson's Pants advert for you, and it's rainy outside, so let's get to the clips in case the power goes out. First up, The Friendship Onion, from Cast Media. That's Cast with a K. It's also from Dominic Monaghan and Billy Boyd. Its description says, join your favorite Hobbits, friends, and co-stars Billy Boyd and Dom Monaghan as they take a look back at their time on Lord of the Rings, featuring interviews with cast and crew, diving deep into life behind the scenes, and answering the many fan questions. The Friendship Onion will peel back the layers of their friendship, both on screen and off. The clip is from an episode posted from March 1st, 2022, in which it says Billy and Dom talk to Tolkien expert Professor Corey Olsen. And this is part 1 of 2. The episode description says, Billy and Dom host Lord of the Rings expert Professor Corey Olsen. In this first part, they discuss Professor Olsen's Signum University and its focus on Tolkien scholarship, and then dive into various fan-submitted Lord of the Rings questions. From why Tom Bombadil and the Eagles couldn't destroy the ring, to whether Gandalf is stronger than Galadriel. Check it out.
Corey, as I'm sure you can imagine, we've had a lot of people writing into us. I posted up today on my Instagram account. I said, what's the one Lord of the Rings question you've always wanted to ask an expert? I wondered if you'd be keen to see if you could answer some of these things. So I'll just have a look here. Let's go. Oh, wow, there's a lot.
Well, have you got one?
Yeah, I've got one. Okay, so this is a good place to start. Is Gandalf stronger than Galadriel? Came from Magnus Matacheses.
Now, hold on, Tom. Is that physically, emotionally, spiritually, or magically?
They've not stipulated.
Okay,
so
so
let's say generally.
Generally.
It's that would be closer, I think, than a lot of people think. One of the things that I find a lot of Tolkien fans kind of think about, they tend to classify. So Gandalf is a Maya, right? I mean, he's from Valinor. He's like a sort of angelic being who's, come and taken on a body, and
more closely related to the Balrog than anything else, right? Is that accurate to say?
Yeah, exactly.
Which is amazing when you think about it.
Yeah.
Exactly right. Yeah, like Sauron and the Balrog and Gandalf and Saruman are all kind of the same category of creature, essentially. Wow. Anyway, so, and then, so you've got these, the Maiar, you get the Valar who are at the top, right? They're like the pantheon of gods, essentially, of the world of Middle-earth. Again, high order angelic beings. And you've got the lower order of angelic beings, of which Gandalf and the Balrog and Sauron are all examples. And then you've got the elves and men, the incarnate beings in the world. So a lot of times people kind of assume, well, since Gandalf and Sauron are on this whole other level, right? Above the elves and the mere mortals and everything, they're like, angelic beings. They must be like orders of magnitude stronger, than any elf or any human. But it's not actually true. There's a lot more variety. Like that class of angelic creature in Tolkien's world is really wide. Like Sauron is enormously powerful, right? But there are a lot of creatures who are really minor. People who are like creatures who are like the spirits of rivers and trees and things like that. Like there are some of those that are around as well. And Sauron is like massively, massively stronger than they are. And some of the elves, like Galadriel, are really a big deal. So it's very possible, actually, so some people have the impression that like no elf could possibly compete with, Amaya, that like Gandalf must be way, way stronger than Galadriel. I think that it's way closer than people would think. I do suspect that Gandalf, like if it came to it, especially after his resurrection, like Gandalf 2.0, when he comes back as the White Wizard, Gandalf is definitely stronger than Galadriel at that point, I would say.
Right.
Beforehand, it would be close. It would be close. I mean, if they got into a direct arm wrestling match, I suspect Gandalf would probably win. Right. But Galadriel's a big deal. I mean, she's a big deal. So I think it would be pretty close. So I'd give the slight edge to Gandalf, but I think it'd be pretty close.
On the same sort of area of question, here's a question from Billy Boyd in Scotland.
Hello to you.
What or who within that sort of idea is Tom Bombadil?
Yeah. So Tom Bombadil is a fascinating question. And there are lots of different ways to answer this question, but he basically, it seems like he has to be in that same kind of category of creature.
Right.
Even when Elrond, in the book, Elrond talks about it, right? They, at the Council of Elrond, they debate the question. Because, it comes up briefly, you may remember, they're like, hey, Tom Bombadil, like, he didn't even turn invisible when he put the ring on. Like, right, yeah. He doesn't seem to be bothered by the ring at all. Maybe we should just bring the ring back to him and let him keep it. And then it'd be safe, right? And Elrond is like, no, Elrond and Gandalf both say, look, if Sauron were to come himself,
right,
and try to take the ring away from Tom Bombadil, could Tom Bombadil fight off Sauron? No, right, he couldn't do it. He couldn't do it. But anyway, the way that they talk about him, it seems pretty clear that they put him in that category as well. He is one of those spiritual beings who's physically manifested in the world. But he's different. Tom Bombadil's different in every way. He's just a different kind of guy. I mean, anybody who sings all the time and is constantly talking about the color of his own clothing is a very different kind of guy, right?
So it's never really, you don't know who he is from any of the writing.
Not exactly.
Right.
Apparently new episodes come out every Tuesday. They have merchandise, which you can get at friendshiponionpodcast.com. And they've listed their Instagrams as apparently their preferred sources of contact, even though that is not explicitly stated. The show's Instagram is at The Friendship Onion, which is TheFriendShipOnion. Billy Boyd's Instagram is at BoydBilly, BoydBilly. His Twitter is Billy Boyd Actor. That is capital BILLY, capital BOYD, capital ACTOR. Dominic Monaghan's Instagram is at lowercase DOM _ MONAGHAN, and then an additional underscore. His Twitter is at Dom's Wild Things. That's capital DOMS, capital WILD, capital THINGS. Also, Professor Corey Olson's socials are available. There is a Signum University YouTube channel, and you can find Corey Olson on Twitter at TolkienProf. At TolkienProf. That is all lowercase TOLKIENPROF. Next up, The Deep Dive with Jessica St. Clair and June Diane Raphael from Earwolf. Its description says, The Deep Dive is hosted by actress, writer, and activist June Diane Raphael and actress, writer, comedian Jessica St. Clair. Each week, our hosts take a, quote, deep dive, unquote, into a wide range of topics such as motherhood and family, feminism, Meghan Markle, shit they put on their faces, and whether or not to buy a crystal because it's on sale. The deep dive captures two friends trying to survive adult womanhood. The clip is from an episode from March 9th, 2022. It's called Must Love Dogs. Its description says, this week's episode, all we ask is that you must love dogs and have a little bit of a sixth sense. But what's new? June has some good news about her dog, Sergeant Meatball, and reveals she will be speaking plainly from here on out. Meanwhile, Jessica is now a pro at fake eyelashes, and we think this is huge news. Deep divers, remember to come as you are, even if that means you're a Susan or are currently being Susaned. I don't know exactly what that means. It is referred to in this episode that I listened to, so it must be something from a previous episode.
And Jessica, I do sort of put people in two buckets. And those buckets are you going to tell your friend that they have something in their teeth or not? And you have something in your teeth. Currently? Yeah.
You know what it is? It's some flaxseed.
And, we're on a Zoom. Who cares? But I feel
but I don't
also
want to
like
be that person.
Well, I don't care. That one of my favorite moments of the Real Housewives of New York City was when Dorinda what's her last name? Medley someone said to her, oh, she has something on her face. And she said, yeah, I always have something on my face. And it was the most perfect line because I really felt it like, oh, yeah, I always have something that someone's fixing on me.
I do. Sometimes when I feel my best, because my teeth are huge.
Your teeth are beautiful. But when your teeth are big and the worst teeth, and I say that as a compliment.
And I take it as one. But I had a wonderful friend in high school and junior high who was obsessed with the idea there might be something in her teeth. And she was always like, is there something in my teeth? And I knew if she's asking me, we're intimate and we're close. And I appreciated that. And now what I'm realizing is her worry was founded. We so often have something in our teeth. And she should be afraid. And she should ask a friend, and we should all. And listen, we're pivoting to the shallow, but we kind of have to because I can't stay here. I don't want to stay here. We want to be motivated. Okay, so we're called to action. Let's every day think, what can we do? What can we do, to bring a little bit of joy, not just to donating to the cause, but also to the people around us, I'm going to go walk those rescue dogs tomorrow, visit Walter, who's 10 years old, little hound mix that BB's really campaigning to have come home with us. I mean, a house full of elderly dogs seems insane, but she desperately wants to put him in an old-fashioned suit with a bowler hat. She said that's one of her dreams, is to see Walter live out his days treated like a king, but also see him go to work. See him as a commuter.
I did not know that you were walking the rescue dogs. That's a beautiful thing.
Well, we just started at Wags and Walks, and what a beautiful organization because they take these dogs. A lot of them are pit bulls, like dogs that would definitely be in a high kill situation. And holy shit, some of these dogs just want to be carried like babies. And the wonderful thing about Wags and Walks is they have an abundance of volunteers. So these dogs, when you go to take them for walks, they want to sleep. They're like, can you give me a minute? God. Walter especially was like, oh, I need to rest, and then BB has to figure out it's Wags and Walks. Walks is not carrying Walter around.
Walter is the best name for a dog, by the way. I don't think I've heard it before on a dog, but I'm just realizing because I've never seen this dog, but I know exactly who he is.
Go to my Instagram. You'll see BB just strangling Walter within an inch of his life. And again, we were getting looks get Walter walking. It's not about
why you're
holding Walter.
Yeah. Yeah.
But you adopted an older gentleman, and there is just such a regalness to an older dog,
Listen, senior dogs to me are where it's at.
I kind of think they are.
They are where it's at. I'm not, I appreciate puppies. I appreciate them from afar. I tip my hat to them and I wish them the very best. Nothing but the best. All my well wishes. But I have no desire to be with a puppy.
So apparently they've got a Pinterest board over at pinterest.com/The Deep Dive, TheDeepDive, no hyphens. And you can follow the Deep Dive Pod on Twitter at The Deep Dive Pod. That is all lowercase TheDeepDivepod. June Diane Raphael is Miss June Diane on Twitter, capital MS, capital JUNE, capital DIANE. And all lowercase June Diane on Instagram. Jessica St. Clair is capital JESSICA _ capital S lowercase t capital CLAIR on Twitter. And her Instagram is STCLAIR Jessica, which is St. Clair Jessica. You can also apparently check out something called the Jane Club at www.janeclub.com. And apparently they encouraged sending themes or questions to thedeepdive@earwolf.com.
Well, friends, spring has sprung at last. Bill Haywatt here with some exciting news from Henderson's Pants. Those same folks who brought you Rose Garden rompers and topiary trousers have done it again. Just in time for the vernal equinox, Henderson's is proud to introduce another line of grow-your-own lower body wear, the Henderson's Bloomin' Bloomers. That's right, no more shoving and slapping amongst the great unwashed in the department store or local pantlery. Just pick up a packet of Henderson's Bloomin' Bloomer seeds at your nearby garden center, and your new pants will be pushing up the daisies in no time. To make sure these custom-grown lightweight shorts fit to a T, mold the included flexible trellis around your waist, seat, and nether regions. Then train the young Bloomin' Bloomer shoots and tendrils to grow around it. Once your new pants have grown to the proper size, slip them on and show them off. What's more, dear friends, with your natural irrigation system and fertilizer factory, your Henderson's Bloomin' Bloomers will stay fresh for weeks. This new seasonal offering is reasonably priced as well, and while new clothes don't grow on trees, Henderson's Bloomin' Bloomers are the next best thing. Originally designed for the Jolly Green Giant, tree huggers from Humboldt County, and the Cheviot Hills Gardening Club, Henderson's Bloomin' Bloomers are available wherever mulch and compost tea are sold. That's Henderson's, makers of fine leg sleeves and ass wraps since 1492. And now back to Succotash.
Thank you, Bill Haywatt. And finally, full release with Samantha Bee from Earwolf. Its description says, Full Frontal with Samantha Bee host Samantha Bee sits down for weekly unscripted in-depth conversations with the best and brightest people about how to investigate the ever-changing world and what to laugh about along the way. Now, this clip is from an episode from last year. It's July 13th, 2021, features guest Rob Reiner, in which, the description says, Samantha Bee sits down with the legendary actor and director Rob Reiner to discuss when she saw This Is Spinal Tap with her grandmother, why Ted Cruz loves The Princess Bride, and joining Twitter just to take on Donald Trump.
I am so delighted that you said yes to me. Thank you.
Of course. Yes, absolutely. No, I'm a fan.
Oh, I never take anything for granted. So I'm so thrilled to meet you. Oh my goodness. Okay. I'll get the gushing stuff out of the way first.
No,
and then
you can keep gushing if
can
you
I?
want. That's fine.
I'll just do it throughout. It's not every day that you get to talk to a person who is the creator and who is responsible for some of your favorite things that you've ever seen in your life, like formative movies. You know what I mean? Like This Is Spinal Tap, which I think really was meaningful to me, sir. So I thank you for all your work.
It was meaningful to you in what way?
I think that the style of it. Well, first of all, I went to see it with my grandmother in the theater at the Toronto Eaton Center. Yes, we went together into a very small theater, and she thought it was a documentary. And she was like, I don't think this band is talented.
It's so funny because when we first screened it in Dallas, We had the same reaction. People came up to me and said, I don't understand. Why would you make a movie about a band that nobody's ever heard of and one that's so bad?
Right.
And I said, no, it's a satire. It's a thing. They didn't quite get it. No. But now they understand.
Now they get it. But it was really...
Oh, an animal just went by.
That's one of my two cats. They'll probably start to fight behind me at some point. So either we can tune right into their battles. They're epic. And they always do it behind me while I'm podcasting.
Sure. Well,
they choose their moments. They do. Yeah. Have you been going to the movies since you've been vaccinated?
I have not. I've been vaccinated, but I have not gone to the movies yet. And I'm wondering if people's habits are going to change. Are people going to go back to the movies? Yeah, yes, they're going back for those big action tentpole franchise type movies,
right.
But will they be going back to movies that I would like to see? I don't know.
Right. It does feel like the summer movie scene is so dominated by those big action movies and stuff, and the Fast and Furious 9 and all of those kinds of movies.
You need a man, the word man, and a number in the title.
You do.
It's Batman 3, Superman 4, Iron Man 7, Spider-Man 8. Fast and Furious Man 9. It's a nan and a number, and then you got a hit.
You do. What will make you go back to the theater? What do you think? What do you think is the special?
I would like to see a movie. I hate to say it, but I like a character-driven movie.
Yes.
It could be a thriller, or it could be a political drama, or it could be a courtroom drama, or a family drama, but something that has developed characters and a story and great acting that gives a full meal, something that gives you a full meal. So it's not just an e-ticket ride,
right.
Amusement park ride.
Well, you and your wife have recently relaunched Castle Rock. Maybe you'll have to make all of those movies.
Well, I'll try. I mean, right now we just made this deal with Warner Brothers, television, and we're developing all these television shows because that's what people seem to be doing. I mean, they're watching, they're binge watching, they're streaming, watching television shows. And we've got like 14 projects in development. One we just sold to NBC Peacock, and you try to find things that you like, and hopefully other people will like it. But I don't know about the movies. I don't know what's going to happen in terms of people going back to the theater.
Well, did you binge television shows during COVID?
Oh God! I mean, I've seen every single Norwegian, Scandinavian cop thriller, everything on BritBox or Acorn. We've watched everything.
Me too. I watched everything.
What are you watching?
I got all the way through American shows, and then I started making my way through all the British shows, and now I'm on to all the French shows. So I'm watching The Bureau now. Did you see The Bureau?
The Bureau's great. Have you seen Spiral?
No.
Spiral. Watch Spiral. It's great. It's a French show, and it's cops. There's great characters in it. And I want to recommend one other show to you.
Yes, please.
The Bridge. The Bridge, not the American version, the Scandinavian version of The Bridge is sensational.
I'm writing it down because
Write it down.
I'm going to take this tip from the man who brought me The Princess Bride and When Harry Met Sally.
Yeah, well, there you go.
I trust your recommendations.
Yeah, they're good.
Who are some of the current batch of filmmakers and creators who are inspiring to you?
Well, I think Jordan Peele is, done some interesting work. I mean, here's a guy who's taken a genre, the horror genre, and elevated it in a way that I've never seen before, that has social comment in it. I think he's done a great job.
Right.
Who else? I mean, there's a lot of good people. Most of them are working in television, oddly enough. I mean, I love Euphoria. I thought that was great, and that's Sam Levinson, a good friend of mine, Barry Levinson. His son Sam is not son of Sam.
No,
he is the son of Barry Levinson. It's Barry's son Sam. He does a great work. There's a lot of people that are doing really, really great work.
You can reach the show on Twitter at Full Frontal Sam B. That is capital Full, capital FRONTAL, capital SAM, capital B. The guest, Rob Reiner, can be reached at all lowercase ROBREINER. And, of course, host Samantha B. can be reached at all lowercase IAMSAMBEE. That is IM Sam B. Apparently, the show's main website is over at www.tbs.com. There's a bunch of forward slashes. There's /shows, /full-frontal-with-Samantha-B, and then another /, which is full release, with, Samantha, B. But you can also just Google it, fall release with Samantha B, and you will find it in almost no time flat. And there it went, episode 298, packed with Soundcast goodness and suitable for archiving. There's a great deal of entertainment to be had over at www.succotashshow.com. 11 years worth, in fact. The show's been evolving, like a Pokemon, in that you can look at the stage it is in now and look back on the past iterations, and I believe that one would not be asking themselves something like, how did that turn into that? There's a familiarity, and yet it is a somewhat different beast, or pocket monster, than it was when it was new, and still figuring out its powers. At some point, the metaphor falls apart, but I'm not sure that it has yet, so I'll leave it there. Thank you for listening. Be decent to each other, and if someone asks you if you've heard something good or interesting lately, and you are fairly confident that we fit into one, both, or more of those categories, won't you please pass the succotash?
You've been listening to Succotash, the Comedy Soundcast Soundcast, with your host, Tyson Saner. Brought to you by Henderson's Pants and...
Imagine your company's name right here.
Rate us and review us at Apple and Google Podcasts. Find us on the web at succotashshow.com, on Stitcher, on iHeartRadio, on YouTube,
on SoundCloud,
and wherever fine soundcasts are streamed and or downloaded. Follow us on Twitter and Instagram at Succotash Show. Like us on Facebook. Email us at tyson@succotashshow.com or call into the Succotash Skype line at our toll call number 818-921-7212.
The number again is 818-921-7212.
You can also upload clips from your favorite Comedy Soundcasts directly to us using our direct upload link at hightail.com/u/succotash. Succotash is produced and engineered by Joe Paulino through the auspices of Studio P Sausalito, the home of the hit. Our hosts are Marc Hershon and Tyson Saner. Our musical director is
Scott Carvey.
Our booth assistant is
Kenny Durges.
Succotash is executive produced by Marc Hershon. Until next time, I'm your loyal booth announcer, Bill Haywatt, reminding you to please pass the succotash. Goodbye. This has been a Succotash Patch production.